Boy, oh boy, what a day in Norman, Oklahoma. Nobody saw this coming. I'm Pete Mundo, HeartlandCollegeSports.com. It is great to be here with you as always, but it is a damn shame that we have to come on the air, come on the show. We're on Facebook Live. We'll be on YouTube as well. We've crossed the 1,000 subs on YouTube, something we, just started really launching here in the last few weeks. So thank you for joining us over there on YouTube, and we'll take all your comments on Facebook Live here as well. Podcast as well, find us there. But it is a shame we have to come on the show today and talk about this story with longtime Oklahoma assistant Cale Gundy, who is resigned as the assistant coach for what he calls in a statement reading a shameful word from a player's iPad. In case you haven't seen this, here's what happened, and here's what Cale Gundy put out a statement on late on Sunday night. In one of the most bizarre things you'll see in college football, even by today's standards, where I get it, nuance doesn't matter anymore, intent doesn't matter anymore. It's just black and white. There's no gray area. It's a disappointing world that we find ourselves in from that standpoint. But here's what happened, and this was in Cale Gundy's statement that he put out on Sunday night. Cale Gundy put out a statement on Sunday night that read as follows, and I'll share it with you here. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but I want to make sure I read it verbatim so you've got all the information here. He said, I owe it to Sooner Nation to be transparent about what led to this decision to resign. Last week during a film session, I instructed my players to take notes. I noticed a player was distracted and picked up his iPad and read aloud the words that were written on his screen. The words displayed had nothing to do with football. One particular word I should never, under any circumstance, have uttered was displayed on the screen. In the moment, I did not realize what I was reading, and as soon as I did, I was horrified. I want to be clear. The words I read aloud from that screen were not my words. What I said was not malicious. It wasn't even intentional. So we all know what word Cale Gundy said, right? Like, we're all adults here. We know what Cale Gundy said. He used, most likely, without a doubt, it would seem to me, the N-word. It's a word that nobody should ever use. There's no excuses for using it, for saying it. I don't believe anybody should use that word. That should not be, and it's not a controversial take. But if we can't find nuance, all right, and that's what's a massive failure here. In Cale Gundy, in a film room session, chewing out a guy, if we're kind of reading between the lines here, chewing out a guy who maybe wasn't paying attention, going over to him, seeing what was on his laptop or his iPad, and then reading what was on his iPad, and then being like, oh my goodness, what did I just read? What did I just say in the heat of the moment? If we can't have that kind of a nuanced conversation in 2022, what are we doing? Do we not want to be adults anymore? Are we that afraid of cancel culture? Because that's what it feels like to me right now. And I hate using that word. It's so cliche. It's so overdone. I really don't want to use it, but I don't know what other word to use. Like, and here's the thing about this Cale Gundy story, and I'll get to more of what he said here. Let me just share a little bit more of what Cale Gundy said in this statement. He said, I've been overwhelmed by the love and support of those who know me, my character, my love for this program. I don't want to be a distraction, effective immediately. I'm stepping down. So that was Cale Gundy late on Sunday night. And then, after that news came down, Brent Venables put out a statement. All right? Now, what we're about to share with you is not something you're going to hear in a lot of Oklahoma media or Big 12 media. Why? Because many in Oklahoma media, and I'm not knocking them, they all are really good at what they do. All right? But they all have, they got to be careful. They have press passes. They have access. Some of them, in some cases, do multiple jobs that involve working for the team. They can't put that at risk. They can't say what I'm about to say, but they should. Brent Venables put out a ridiculously weak and cowardly statement on this story. That's a fact. Brent Venables' statement read as follows. It is with sadness that I accept Coach Gundy's resignation. He's dedicated more than half of his life to Oklahoma football and has served our program and university well. We also acknowledge that in stepping aside, he's placed the program and the welfare of our student athletes first. In coaching and in life, we're all accountable for our actions and the resulting outcomes. Really? Is that right, Brent Venables? We're all accountable for our actions and the resulting outcomes. So you think the resulting outcome here is appropriate? A guy who's got a 25-year career at Oklahoma, who, doesn't have as much as a parking ticket as far as we know in Cale Gundy, who multiple players, black players, have come to his defense, most notably Joe Mixon, saying this man is the furthest thing from a racist. I'll get to that coming up. And this is just, being accountable for your actions. Really? That's what this is? No, this is you bending the knee and being, let's be honest, afraid of what could come if this story were to get out and you did not, or somebody did not get rid of Cale Gundy, even though the nuance is so clear. So clear. Yes, there'd be a couple of loud people on social media screaming about firing Cale Gundy. All right, there's no doubt that would be the case. But there have been a lot of reports here today I want to share with you guys. All right, here's one of the reports I want to share with you that I think has not gotten nearly enough attention. And I'm just going to pull it up on my phone here. It is from the guys at the Football Brainiacs. They cover Oklahoma. They got a lot of insider information. They do an outstanding job. Here's what they reported this morning. Sources said all the players in the room, including the players who had the iPad, went to bat for Cale. They were not offended as they understood the context of what went down. However, the incident got elevated somehow to the administration. We are not clear exactly how it was elevated or who elevated it, but the administration got a hold of it, and we believe it was taken out of the football program's hands. Now, I know that Brent Venables is the new guy on the block. I know he doesn't want to rock the boat. First-year head coach, I get all of that. I understand it all. I really do. All right? But you're the head coach. You just signed on. Oklahoma, let's be honest, as a program is in a very unique spot right now. No one's really ever left Oklahoma football as a head coach willingly to go to another college program. It's been 70 years since something like that has happened. Right? So I understand the tough spot that Brent Venables finds himself in. But if this report turns out to be true, and that this thing got expedited somehow to the administration, and then the administration basically chopped Cale Gundy's head off and said, see you later, thanks for the 30-plus years, that is a shameful, shameful job by the administration at Oklahoma. And, I had heard a lot of rumblings when Lincoln Riley left the program that the administration was part of the reason he left, that there were just issues with the administration and them kind of butting their heads into things they didn't need to be involved in regarding football. And, I didn't know what to make of it at the time. There were reports, they were floating out there. I couldn't confirm them one way or the other. But after all that I heard, and then this as well, and this report coming out from the Football Brainiacs, it's certainly plausible, is it not? It's certainly plausible that that is a situation that, we all now have to admit could be very much the case. But I just thought that for Brent Venables to put out that kind of a comment, we're all accountable for our actions in life and the resulting outcomes. So you can be a choir boy, once again, this is not a mistake of a guy using the word even, right? Like, if you use the word, and God forbid that word comes out of your mouth, then that's a completely different conversation. I wholly admit that's a completely different conversation. But you're talking about somebody in a film room picking up a player's iPad, reading whatever was on the iPad, the word is there, and then he's like, oh my goodness, what just happened? Your character over 30-plus years apparently doesn't matter in that situation? To Brent Venables of the University of Oklahoma, that is weak. Incredibly weak. Incredibly weak. And on top of that, here's what else we've got here from this Brent Venables statement. The culture we're building in our program is based on mutual respect. Our staff here is to develop successful student athletes, but also young men of character. As leaders of this program, it's essential that we hold ourselves to the highest standards as we model for our players the type of men we want them to become. Here's what I learned, all right? You want to know what type of man Brent Venables expects you to become? Jesus Christ. That's who Brent Venables thinks you should be. No ifs, ands, or buts. Because if Cale Gundy, who had a stellar record, all right, who had an outstanding resume, who most people around the Oklahoma program, he's been there for 23 years since Stoops came on in 99 as a coach, obviously quarterback there in the early 90s. No one had really said much about him in a bad way. You've seen a ton of former players come out today with nothing but great things to say about Cale Gundy. That's not good enough. Even with the nuance, with the obvious intent, with the obvious story here that makes this not being worthy of being fired, it got Cale Gundy fired anyway. And I got to read a statement from Brent Venables as if everybody's supposed to be the second coming? Please. How insulting is that? I was just so, and I can't imagine how Cale Gundy feels. Now, here's what's interesting, too. Cale Gundy's daughter put out a tweet that she since deleted. She retweeted that Brent Venables statement I just read to you guys, all right? And here is what she said. What she said was Cale Gundy's daughter claims Brent Venables asked players not to share what really happened in now deleted tweet. And what that tweet said, the Reddit college football guys had this. What the tweet said from Cale Gundy's daughter reads as follows. I want to make sure I have it for you here word for word. She wrote and then deleted this tweet. Quote, interesting you told your players to keep their mouths shut about what really happened and their heads down. The truth will always come to fruition. It's only a matter of time. Cat Gundy then deleted that tweet. I don't know what that means, but none of it's a good look. None of it is a good look. All right. Let's go to some of your comments. I want to get to that. Let's see here. On Facebook Live. Pete, Lincoln Riley left to go to USC not 70 years ago. No, I know that. I think the previous coach that left Oklahoma for another college job, I'm forgetting, but I think it was like 75 years ago. You're kind of missing the big picture here, my man. Bart writes, a momentary lapse in judgment of an OU first person. Situational awareness is paramount in today's world, though. I'm saddened by his departure. I mean, I get it. I'm not saying that what Cale Gundy did was right. I'm saying this situation, the unique nature of what happened here, is not a guy letting the N-word like just slip out of his mouth in conversation, right? Like that's completely unacceptable. And if that, for whatever reason, cost Cale Gundy, completely different conversation we're having. But a guy who chews out a player, pulls out, theoretically, takes his iPad, looks at it, reads what's on the iPad, and is like, what did I read? That there's a nuanced difference, right? And that should be something where it's in-house. I'm not saying an apology is not warranted at all. Seriously, like I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying, is this something, knowing the details of how this went down, as we apparently do right now, is this something that is worthy of you losing your livelihood over? Maybe you think it is. I just don't. Brian writes, Brent Venables should have done a better job. Brian's an OU fan. Absolutely, Brian. None of this is making Brent Venables look very good at all. At all. All right? There's no other way to spin this thing. And I love the hire of Brent Venables. Brent Venables, I hope the guy has success. But this is not making him look good. I don't know how to come to any other conclusion on this deal. All right? I just don't know how you do that. Brent Venables does not come out of this thing looking great. And I understand the spot he's in. First-year head coach, this happens, administration's involved. Did they basically put out this statement for him? Did they make this happen? Did they force his hand here? Fine. I understand it to some degree. But man, oh man, what about standing up for your guy? And don't forget, Cale Gundy and Brent Venables know each other. All right? I mean, they were coaching together under Bob Stoops for years. It's not like, he inherited Cale Gundy, doesn't really know him, and then, he's like, whatever. I can't put my reputation on the line for this guy. That's certainly not the case. So this is just, none of this looks good for Oklahoma football. None of it looks good for the University of Oklahoma as well. And, Ron points out on Facebook Live here, it was on a player's iPad. Players should be held accountable after all, since it was his iPad. That's exactly right. That's exactly right, Ron. I mean, if that player then, if that's the standard that Brent Venables wants to hold everybody to, then that player should be off the team, should be expelled by the standard that you've got Brent Venables just making up. This is completely ridiculous. Everything about this is ridiculous. And I don't know when we're ever going to get to the bottom of it, if we do. But just know that the media in and around this team and in and around Oklahoma are going to be very careful right now, because they cannot cross the university, they cannot cross Brent Venables, and they cannot cross the program. They can't afford to for their own livelihoods. We don't care. I don't care. All right? I mean, this website has succeeded to reach millions of Big 12 fans now every month because of our ability to be unbiased, to love this conference, to love all these 10 teams, to cover them, and to give you honest opinions about them. That's why we've had success. That's why the show has succeeded. That's why the site has succeeded. So any information we can get, we'll absolutely share with you here. But there's going to be a lot of people around the team that are going to be very cautious about this because they have to be. And they're probably going to try to move on fairly quickly. And that's not fair to Cale Gundy either in any of this. That is not fair at all. So welcoming your thoughts on Facebook Live. We'll be on YouTube as well, posting this there. Please do subscribe to the YouTube page as we continue to build that thing up leading up to the start of the season. And I think a lot of Oklahoma media is just going to try to move on. Let's get to the season. Let's get to the games. Let's get to Nebraska. Let's get the conference play. Let's go. Let's forget about this. This can't be forgotten about. And this should not be forgotten about. Because Cale Gundy put in 30-plus years to Oklahoma football, and what's he got to show for it now? A tarnished, absolutely tarnished reputation, completely unfairly. And, I'll leave you with what Joe Mixon had to say. All right, a lot of players came out in support of Cale Gundy. A lot of players came out in support of Cale Gundy. But I think Joe Mixon put it best here. Put in a statement, Cincinnati Bengals running back, of course, first-team All-Big 12 guy back in 2016. Coach Gundy is everything OU and any institution would want in a coach, a teacher, a mentor. I owe my education and professional career to him, and most importantly, I owe who I am as a person to him. Adding, most importantly, Coach Gundy is not, and I repeat, not a racist in any way, nor has a racist bone in his body, mind, or soul. I spent every day for the 1,000 days I was in Norman with him and never saw anything that would lead anyone to believe this or think this. You can read that full Joe Mixon comment and statement on heartlandcollegesports.com. I want to leave you with that, all right? What do we have here? Pete, the administration dropped the ball. No doubt about it. Evan writes, is there a site where it shows the actual content? If not, that's okay too. Content of what? Of what was on the iPad? I don't think we know that, Evan. I don't think we have that information. We still appreciate you guys being here on Facebook Live and on YouTube as well. Subscribe to the YouTube page. A ton more content coming your way. Yes, we'll be talking about the games and the season, but this obviously the big news to start the week. Had to cover it. Had to hop on with you guys, and we so appreciate you joining us. I'm Pete Mundo. HeartlandCollegeSports.com is the site covering everything in the Big 12. We'll talk to you soon. Have a great day. Take care.